The massive alien ship appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning. It emerged from a swirling blue portal just beyond Earth's moon, its metallic surface gleaming under the distant sunlight. Within minutes, every telescope on Earth turned toward it, and every military base went on high alert. Ambassador Robert Hayes stood at the United Nations emergency meeting, his hand steady despite the weight of the moment. At 62, with gray hair and kind eyes, he had spent his life working toward peaceful solutions. Now he would represent humanity in its first contact with alien life. "The ship is broadcasting on all frequencies," announced General Laura Blake, her voice echoing through the packed chamber. "They're requesting to land at our New York spaceport. They say they come in peace." The chamber erupted in whispers and worried murmurs. Robert took a deep breath and stepped forward. "We've prepared for this moment. Let's show them humanity's best face." 3 hours later, Robert watched as the sleek shuttle descended from the mothership. It was smaller than expected, perhaps the size of a passenger jet, with smooth lines that seemed to bend light around it. The vessel touched down without a sound, not even disturbing the air around it. The first alien to step out looked almost beautiful in a strange way. Tall and slender, with iridescent blue skin and large, intelligent eyes. It, or rather, she, as they would later learn, introduced herself as Ambassador Zira of the Zaxian Confederation, speaking perfect English through what appeared to be a small translator device. "We represent the Galactic Council," Zira announced, her voice carrying a musical quality. "We have watched your species for some time, and we believe you are ready to join the galactic community." Robert led the initial talks in a hastily prepared conference room. The walls were lined with security personnel, though they tried to be discreet. Camera drones hovered silently in the corners, broadcasting to billions of eager viewers worldwide. "The Council oversees 327 species," Zira explained, displaying a holographic map of the galaxy. "We maintain peace through strict regulations and mutual cooperation. One of our most important rules concerns the development of warships." Robert noticed how her large eyes focused intently on him as she spoke about weapons. "We have found that limiting military vessels prevents unnecessary conflicts. All member species agree to certain restrictions." "What kind of restrictions?" Robert asked, keeping his voice neutral despite the alarm bells ringing in his mind. Zira's translator hummed softly as she spoke. "No species may develop warships beyond Class 3 capabilities. Your current vessels would be classified as Class 2, which is acceptable. However, we've detected research into more advanced propulsion and weapons systems. This must cease if Earth wishes to join the Council." Robert glanced at General Blake, who sat stiffly in her chair. They both knew about Project Aegis, hidden deep beneath the Nevada desert. Neither let their expression change. "We understand," Robert said carefully. "These terms seem reasonable. However, we would need time to discuss this with our world leaders." Zira's face showed what might have been a smile. "Of course. The Council is patient. We will remain in orbit for 14 of your days while you deliberate. We look forward to welcoming humanity into the galactic community." Later that evening, in a secure underground room, Robert met with key military and political leaders. The mood was tense. "They're hiding something," General Blake insisted. "Their ships have capabilities far beyond what they claim is allowed. Our sensors detected weapon systems that could vaporize cities." President Wilson, a stern-faced woman in her 50s, nodded slowly. "Keep Project Aegis running, but move it deeper underground. Tell no one outside this room. We'll play along with their rules for now, but I won't leave Earth defenseless." Robert looked around the room at the grim faces of Earth's leaders. They all knew this was the beginning of something big, but none could guess just how right they were. As he left the meeting, Robert watched the alien ship glowing softly in the night sky. Its presence felt less like a welcome and more like a warning. Humanity had survived countless challenges by being clever and cautious. Now, facing their biggest test yet, those same qualities might be their only hope. In the Nevada desert, Buried beneath tons of rock and secrecy, Project Aegis continued its work. The future of humanity might depend on it. Captain Lisa Morgan wiped sweat from her forehead as she stared at the massive ship taking shape before her. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Project Aegis had turned an abandoned mine into humanity's most advanced shipyard. The cavity stretched nearly a mile high, carved out by special boring machines that worked in complete silence. "How's the quantum shield testing going?" she asked, turning to David Wilson, her chief engineer. David was young for his position, only 32, but his bright mind had helped solve problems that had stumped scientists for decades. "Better than we hoped," David replied, his tablet displaying complex energy patterns. "We've managed to copy the Zaxian shield technology and improve it. They never thought to combine it with Earth's magnetic field principles." The ship they were building, unofficially named Nemesis, didn't look like other spaceships. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light, and its shape kept changing slightly, like a mirage in the desert. This was thanks to Emma Cooper's adaptive camouflage system. Emma stood at her workstation, her fingers dancing over holographic controls. "The AI combat systems are learning faster than expected," she reported. "It's like they're hungry for knowledge. Every simulation we run teaches them new tricks." Lisa walked along the observation deck, watching hundreds of workers scurrying around the massive vessel. On the surface, Earth's governments pretended to follow the Council's rules. They publicly scrapped old military ships and signed treaties. But down here, they built humanity's secret weapon. "Ma'am," a young technician called out, "you need to see this." He pulled up a video feed from one of their spy satellites. It showed Zaxian ships performing strange maneuvers near Mars. Their movements didn't match what they had told Earth about their capabilities. "They're running combat drills," Lisa realized, her eyes narrowing. "Those aren't peaceful exercises." David moved closer to study the footage. "Look at their energy readings. They're carrying enough firepower to glass a continent. Why would peaceful diplomats need that?" Lisa pressed a button on her communicator. "Double shifts starting today. I want weapons integration completed by next week. They're planning something, and we need to be ready." The next few days turned into a blur of activity. Engineers and technicians worked around the clock, sleeping in shifts on cots set up near their workstations. Emma's AI systems ran countless battle simulations, learning from each failure until they could outthink any known alien combat pattern. David's team made a breakthrough with the engines. By combining human plasma technology with studied alien principles, they created a drive system that could match any Zaxian ship. But the real genius was how it hid its energy signature, making it appear like a simple cargo vessel. One evening, as Lisa reviewed progress reports in her office, Emma burst in without knocking. "Captain, you need to see this." Her usual calm demeanor was shaken. "I decoded some of their transmissions. The Zaxians, they've been lying to everyone, not just us. They've conquered other species before, always using the same trick." Lisa followed Emma to the control room, where screens showed decoded alien messages. The pattern was clear. The Zaxians would approach a new species, offer friendship, demand they limit their military power, and then strike when they were weakest. "Send this to command immediately," Lisa ordered, "and get me Admiral Martinez on a secure line." Hours later, in an encrypted video conference, Earth's military leaders discussed their options. The Nemesis was nearly complete, but they had hoped for more time to test its systems. Now it seemed time was running out. "Keep working," Admiral Martinez told them, his face grim on the screen. "If what you've discovered is true, we're the only ones who saw through their deception. We might be the only ones who can stop them." As Lisa ended the call, she looked through the armored window at their secret weapon. The Nemesis hung in its cradle of construction scaffolding, nearly ready for its first flight. They had built it by studying every piece of alien technology they could find, improving each system with human innovation. "Run final checks on all systems," she ordered her crew, "and pray we finish in time." In orbit above Earth, the Zaxian ships continued their peaceful display. But now, watching them through new eyes, Lisa could see the predators lurking behind their diplomatic smiles. Humanity had always survived by preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. This time would be no different. Except now, they had teeth of their own. It happened without warning. On a quiet Sunday morning, the Zaxian ships suddenly changed position. Their peaceful formation turned into attack patterns, and their weapons came online all at once. In the new Mars colony, children were playing in the hydroponic gardens when the first shots hit. The domed shields, which the Zaxians had promised would protect against radiation, failed instantly. Emergency alarms screamed as colonists ran for the shelters. Back on Earth, Admiral John Martinez watched in horror as red alerts flashed across his screens. "Get me Captain Morgan," he shouted, his fists clenched tight. "And someone wake the president." The images from Europa Station were even worse. The ice-covered moon's research base, home to 3,000 scientists and their families, took direct hits from Zaxian cruisers. The base's thin defenses melted like paper under their advanced weapons. In the underground facility in Nevada, Captain Lisa Morgan and her crew scrambled into action. "Power up all systems," she ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Emma, get those AI defenses online. David, I need those engines ready in 10 minutes. "But we haven't finished testing thee," David started to protest. "No time." Lisa cut him off. "Our people are dying up there." On the main screen, Ambassador Zyra's face appeared, broadcasting to all Earth channels. Her once friendly expression had turned cold and cruel. "This is a necessary preventive action," she announced. "Our studies show humanity would have become a threat to galactic peace. We regret this, but your species leaves us no choice." President Wilson's response was brief and defiant. "Earth will not surrender to murderers and liars." The Zaxian ships began moving toward Earth. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy, ready to strike. But they had made one crucial mistake. They thought humanity was defenseless. In orbit around Mars, Lieutenant Steve Rogers commanded one of the last official human defense ships. "We'll buy you as much time as we can," he radioed to Earth, his voice calm even as Zaxian weapons tore his ship apart. "Make it count." Deep underground, the Nemesis hummed to life. Its dark hull absorbed the work lights around it as Emma's AI systems came fully online. David's engines pulsed with hidden power, ready for their first real test. "All hands to battle stations," Lisa announced over the ship's comm. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." The massive cavern's ceiling began to open, revealing the desert sky above. Special holographic systems kept the opening hidden from orbital sensors. The Nemesis rose silently, its advanced drives making less noise than a whisper. Multiple Zaxian warships approaching Earth, Emma reported from her station. "They're charging weapons. Time to impact. 12 minutes. Lisa sat in the captain's chair, her hand steady on the controls. "Send word to Admiral Martinez. Tell him to get our people off the colonies if he can. We'll handle the Zaxian fleet." The Nemesis climbed higher, still invisible to enemy sensors. David's hands flew over his engineering console, balancing power between engines, weapons, and shields. "Captain," he called out, "the quantum shields are holding stable. We're ready." In orbit, the Zaxian ships moved into attack formation around Earth. Their commanders felt confident. They had performed this peacekeeping action many times before. No species had ever survived their first strike. "Weapons range in 30 seconds, Emma announced. Her AI systems had already analyzed every weakness in the Zaxian ships, plotting the perfect attack points. Lisa took a deep breath. "Send this message to the Zaxian fleet. You wanted to prevent humanity from becoming a threat. You should have struck sooner." The Nemesis dropped its cloak. The Zaxian scanners suddenly screamed warnings as they detected a ship unlike anything they had seen before. Its hull seemed to drink in their sensor beams, and its weapons were already locked on their positions. By the Council, One Zaxian commander gasped. What have they built? All weapons, fire, Lisa ordered. The Nemesis unleashed its first volley, human ingenuity combined with reversed engineered alien tech. The results shocked even its creators. 3 Zaxian ships exploded instantly. Their much-praised shields meant nothing against weapons they had never imagined possible. The others began to turn, trying to bring their weapons to bear, but the Nemesis moved like a dancer through their formation. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity, despite all odds, had teeth of its own. The Nemesis moved through space like a shark in dark water. Around it, the remains of 6 Zaxian warships drifted silently. Captain Lisa Morgan stood at her command station, watching as the enemy fleet regrouped at a safe distance. Status report, she called out, her voice echoing through the bridge. Shields at 92%. David responded from engineering. Their weapons barely scratched us. The adaptive armor is working better than we hoped. He couldn't hide the pride in his voice. After all, he had spent 3 years developing the armor that could learn from each hit it took. Emma's hands danced over her eye control panel. The combat systems are learning fast, Captain. They're already predicting Zaxian attack patterns with 89% accuracy. Each shot teaches us more about their weaknesses. The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. Ambassador Zyra's face appeared, her blue skin now pale with anger or fear. It was hard to tell with aliens. This is impossible, she hissed. No Class II civilization could build such a ship. You have broken all council laws. Lisa smiled coldly. Funny thing about humans, we don't like being told what we can't do, especially by liars who plan to kill us. The bridge crew watched as data streamed across their screens. The Nemesis sensors were scanning every Zaxian ship, learning their secrets. What they found made even Emma gasp. Captain, she called out, these scans confirm our suspicions. The Zaxians have been lying to everyone. Their ships are far beyond Class 3. They've been using advanced tech to conquer other species while pretending to be peacekeepers. David looked up from his station. And that's not all. Their armor technology. I can see why they were so scared of us developing our own ships. They've been using the same basic designs for centuries. No innovation, no changes. They never expected anyone to improve on their tech. On the main screen, they could see more Zaxian ships arriving through jump points. But something was different about these ships. They moved uncertainly, as if their crews were nervous. Incoming transmission, Emma announced. Not from the Zaxians. It's from one of the other council ships. A new face appeared on the screen. This alien looked different, red-scaled with 4 eyes. Human vessel, this is Captain Kex of the Andraxian Defense Force. We request to speak with you. Lisa nodded to Emma to open the channel. This is Captain Morgan of the Earth ship Nemesis. We're listening. We have monitored your battle, Kex said carefully. Your ship's capabilities are remarkable. But more importantly, our sensors detect no signs of the forbidden technologies the Zaxians accused you of using. You have achieved this through innovation. Pure human ingenuity, Lisa replied. We took basic principles and made them better. That's what humans do. More alien ships appeared, but they weren't moving to attack. They were watching, waiting. The Nemesis had done more than survive the Zaxians' attack. It had shown the galaxy that their technological superiority was a lie. David's console beeped with new data. Captain, I'm detecting communications between council ships. Lots of them. I think we just started something big. Emma's AI systems were processing the signals. Many council species are questioning the Zaxians now. They're demanding explanations about the technology restrictions, about past peacekeeping missions. Lisa stood straighter in her command chair. This was more than a battle for Earth now. This was a chance to expose centuries of lies. Send this message to all council ships, she ordered. The Nemesis carries no forbidden technology. Everything we built by understanding and improving existing principles. We did what the Zaxians feared most. We proved their rules were nothing but chains to keep others weak. The response was immediate. More council ships began breaking formation with the Zaxians, moving to neutral positions. Some even turned their weapons toward their former masters. Multiple council species are requesting access to our scans of Zaxian ships. Emma reported, her voice excited. They want proof of the deception. Lisa nodded. Send it. Send it all. Let them see the truth. As the data spread through the council fleet, the balance of power that had held the galaxy in check for centuries began to crumble. The Nemesis hadn't just defended Earth, it had sparked a revolution. And in the depths of space, the Zaxian ships began to retreat, their greatest weapon finally broken. The lie that they alone could be trusted with power. The space around Jupiter turned into a war zone. 30 Zaxian warships emerged from jump points, their weapons already charging. They had one mission: destroy the Nemesis before more council species turned against them. Multiple hostile contacts. Emma called out from her eye station. They're using a new attack formation. Something we haven't seen before. Captain Lisa Morgan gripped her command chair. They're finally showing us their real tactics. David, how are our shields? Holding strong, David replied, his fingers flying over his engineering console. The adaptive armor is ready for anything they throw at us. The Nemesis hung in space, its dark hull absorbing the light from Jupiter's massive form behind it. Lieutenant Mark Stevens and his fighter squadron waited in their launch bays, a new addition to humanity's arsenal. Fighter Squadron Alpha, you are clear to launch, Lisa commanded. Show them what Earth pilots can do. Mark's voice crackled over the comm. With pleasure, Captain. Alpha Squadron, form up on me. Remember your training. They've never fought anything like us before. The fighter bay doors opened, and 12 sleek vessels shot into space. They were small, fast, and packed with innovations that would make any Zaxian engineer's head spin. Mark led them in a tight formation, then gave the order: break and attack. The Earth fighters scattered like startled birds, each one picking its own target. The Zaxians, used to fighting large capital ships, had no defense against these quick, unpredictable enemies. Their shields are calibrated for heavy weapons, David reported, watching the battle data. Our fighters' rapid-fire pulse cannons are slipping right through. On the main screen, they watched as Mark's squadron tore through the Zaxian formation. 3 enemy ships fell in the first pass, their shields useless against weapons they weren't designed to stop. But the Zaxians weren't finished. Their remaining ships formed a tight circle, concentrating their fire on the Nemesis. The space between them lit up with enough energy to vaporize a small moon. Brace for impact, Lisa shouted. The blast hit them head-on. The bridge crew held their breath. But the Nemesis barely shuddered. Minimal damage, David reported, grinning. The armor adapted to their energy frequency. Each shot makes us stronger against the next one. Emma's AI systems were working overtime, processing the battle in microseconds. Captain, I found a pattern in their attacks. They're leaving a gap in their formation every 42 seconds. Lisa leaned forward. Send that data to Lieutenant Stevens. Mark, do you copy? Loud and clear, Captain, Mark responded. I see the gap. Alpha Squadron, on my mark. The fighters regrouped and dove through the hole in the Zaxian defense. Their smaller weapons might not do much damage alone, but they didn't need to. They just had to make an opening. Nemesis, main cannon charge, David announced. Ready to fire. Lisa's eyes narrowed. Target their flagship. Fire when ready. The Nemesis's main weapon was something special. A combination of human nuclear science and alien energy principles that no one had tried before. The blast cut through space like a blade of pure light. The Zaxian flagship never had a chance. One moment it was there, the next it was splitting apart, its reactor going critical. Enemy fleet is breaking formation, Emma reported. Their command structure is shattered. Mark's voice came over the comm again. Permission to pursue, Captain. Granted, Lisa replied. But remember, we want some of them to survive. They need to carry the story back to their leaders. The battle turned into a rout. Earth's fighters hunted down the scattered Zaxian ships, while the Nemesis picked off any that tried to group up again. In less than an hour, it was over. 15 enemy ships destroyed, Emma reported. 7 escaped via jump points. 8 surrendered. The bridge crew cheered, but Lisa raised her hand for quiet. Send word to Earth. Tell them the Zaxians' best fleet just learned a hard lesson about humanity. David checked his readings one last time. The ship performed better than we ever hoped, Captain. Every system exceeded expectations. It's not the ship, Lisa said, looking around at her crew. It's the people. We won because we think differently. We adapt. We innovate. That's what the Zaxians really feared. As the Nemesis moved to secure their prisoners, other council ships began arriving to witness the aftermath. They saw the debris of Zaxian, invincible warships, scattered by a species that wasn't supposed to be able to fight back. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the old rules no longer applied. The Grand Council chamber on Station Alpha was packed with representatives from over 300 species. For the first time in centuries, the Zaxians didn't sit at the high table. Instead, their delegates huddled in a corner, surrounded by guards from multiple species. Captain Lisa Morgan stood at the speaker's platform, her Earth uniform standing out among the colorful alien robes. Behind her, a massive hologram showed evidence that Chief Engineer David Wilson had decoded from captured Zaxian ships. For 500 years, Lisa's voice rang through the chamber. The Zaxians have lied to you all. They didn't protect peace. They prevented progress. Every species they labeled as dangerous was simply one that might have grown strong enough to challenge them. The hologram changed to show scenes from past Zaxian peacekeeping missions. David had worked for 3 days straight to break their encryption, and what he found shocked even him. 32 species, he announced, stepping forward. That's how many civilizations the Zaxians have destroyed completely, always using the same excuse. They were too aggressive or developing too quickly. Angry murmurs filled the chamber. The Andraxian representative, a tall red-scaled alien named Kex, stood up. We have reviewed your evidence. The Andraxian Union formally withdraws from the Zaxian-led council. We stand with Earth. More representatives began standing. The Centaurians, known for their careful neutrality, were next. The Centaurian worlds also withdraw. We have been blind for too long. Emma Cooper, monitoring the AI systems that translated the various alien languages, noticed something interesting. Captain, she whispered to Lisa, many of the species are using their real names for their civilizations, not the names the Zaxians gave them. They're reclaiming their identities. The Zaxian ambassador Zera tried to speak, but the chamber erupted in shouts. Centuries of built-up anger were finally breaking free. We trusted you, a small furry delegate shouted. My people destroyed our most advanced ships because you said they were too dangerous. Our colony worlds died because our defenses were too weak. Another added. You told us stronger shields would destabilize local space. Lisa raised her hand, and surprisingly, the chamber fell quiet. Everyone wanted to hear what the humans, who had broken the Zaxians' power, had to say. We don't want revenge, she stated clearly. We want change. Earth proposes a new council, one where all species are truly equal, where innovation is encouraged, not feared, where we protect each other instead of controlling each other. David stepped forward again, activating a new hologram. We're willing to share our technological developments, not weapons, but shields, medical advances, engine improvements. Everything we created while hiding from the Zaxians. The chamber buzzed with excitement. Many species had forgotten what it felt like to advance, to grow, to reach for the stars without fear. Admiral Martinez, who had quietly joined the Earth delegation, stood up. But first, we need to deal with the Zaxian threat. Not with destruction. We're better than that. but they must be contained until they learn to live in peace with others. The vote was quick and overwhelming. The Zaxians were stripped of their council power. Their military would be reduced, their ships converted for peaceful use, and most importantly, their leaders would face justice for centuries of deception and destruction. As the session ended, representatives from dozens of species approached Lisa and her crew. Some offered alliance, others asked for technical assistance, but many simply wanted to say thank you. You showed us we didn't have to be afraid. A young Centaurian diplomat told her. Your ship wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of freedom. Later, in a quiet meeting room, Lisa sat with her crew and Admiral Martinez. The Admiral looked at a datapad showing reports from across the galaxy. It's happening everywhere, he said, shaking his head in amazement. Species are digging out old research, rebuilding ships they mothballed, sharing technologies they hid from the Zaxians. It's like watching a galaxy wake up from a long sleep. Emma's AI systems were struggling to keep up with all the new data being shared. The combined scientific knowledge of all these species, the possibilities are endless. David grinned. And to think, it all started because we're too stubborn to follow bad rules. Lisa looked out the station's window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Nemesis waited, no longer humanity's only defense, but a reminder of what happens when you try to cage the human spirit. The galaxy was changing, and humanity, far from being the Council's worst fear, had become its greatest hope. 1 year after the fall of Zaxian power, the Nemesis led a combined fleet of ships from 20 different species toward the former Council capital. The massive ships represented the first graduating class of what humans now call the Galactic Defense Initiative. Captain Lisa Morgan stood on her bridge, watching the colorful array of vessels move in perfect formation. Each ship showed signs of human influence in its design, but all carried unique elements from their own cultures. Remember when they said we couldn't build warships? David asked from his engineering station. He had spent the last 6 months teaching other species how to improve their technology. Now look at them. Each one is a masterpiece. Emma's AI systems coordinated the fleet's movements. The Andraxian ships have really mastered our shield designs, she noted. And the Centaurians added something interesting to their engines. We might want to study that. The fleet approached the massive space station that once housed the old Council. It had been rebuilt, its oppressive Zaxian architecture replaced with a design that celebrated the diversity of galactic life. Admiral Martinez is signaling, Emma announced. They're ready for the ceremony. Inside the station's great hall, representatives from over 300 species gathered. But this time, no one sat higher than others. The room was arranged in a circle, with Earth's section no larger or smaller than any other. President Wilson stood to speak, her voice carrying to all through advanced translation systems. 1 year ago, we gathered here in fear and anger. Today, we meet as equals, as partners, as friends. She gestured to where the former Zaxian leaders sat. They looked different now, humbler, perhaps wiser. Their world had not been destroyed, but transformed. Under close supervision, they were learning to live without power over others. The Galactic Defense Initiative has proven what we believed, Admiral Martinez continued, that we are all stronger together. That innovation comes from sharing, not hoarding. That trust builds better shields than fear. Lisa watched as, one by one, representatives from different species stood to share their progress. The Andraxians had developed new medical technologies. The Centaurians had improved faster than light travel. Even smaller species, long ignored under Zaxian rule, had valuable contributions. And now, President Wilson announced, we face our greatest challenge yet. Our deep space sensors have detected signals from beyond our galaxy. We are not alone in the universe, and we must be ready. The hall buzzed with excitement rather than fear. Under the old Council, such news would have caused panic. Now, it sparked inspiration. David stepped forward with new technical plans. We've designed a new class of exploration vessel, he explained. combining the best elements from all our cultures. Fast, strong, but built for peace. Emma's AI systems displayed the ship design. It was beautiful, sleek like a Centaurian ship, powerful like a human vessel, efficient like an Andraxian craft. The AI will be a true collaboration, she added, learning from all our experiences. The new ship would be called Unity, and every species would contribute to its construction. It would carry the best of each civilization into the unknown. Later, back on the Nemesis, Lisa sat in her quiet ready room. Admiral Martinez had just offered her command of the Unity project. Thinking about the offer, David asked, bringing her a coffee, still a uniquely human drink that no other species had acquired a taste for. Remember when we were building this ship in secret? Lisa smiled, afraid we were the only ones who saw the truth. Now look at us, Emma added, her screen showing the combined fleet outside. We're teaching battle tactics to species that were afraid to build engines last year. Through the window, they could see Earth ships flying in formation with alien vessels, human pilots trained alongside beings from across the galaxy. The Nemesis, once built in fear and secrecy, now served as a school for a new generation of defenders. The Zaxians were right about one thing, Lisa said, standing to watch the ships. Humanity was their worst fear, but not because we were violent, because we believe in something stronger than control. What's that? David asked. Hope, Lisa answered. The hope that we can always be better, that tomorrow can be brighter than today. And now that hope has spread across the galaxy. As if to emphasize her words, a group of ships began their jump to light speed, their trails forming a brilliant pattern against the stars. They carried beings from 100 worlds, all working together, all reaching for something greater than themselves. The Nemesis had been built as humanity's last defense. Instead, it had become the galaxy's first step toward a truly united future.